It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Purchase College head women's lacrosse coach, Coach Jasmine Sitti. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Brandon. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in college women's lacrosse?
Sure. So I didn't actually know that I was going to get into college coaching. I expected in some capacity. My dad was the assistant women's lacrosse coach at Hamilton College for about 20 years. So I figured, somewhere down the line that I would, maybe coach younger teams at the either middle school or high school level. I actually thought I was going to be a teacher. And then I went and taught in South Korea, decided that was not my calling. And then my head coach was stepping down from her position and she said, "Hey, this position is open up. You should look at it, apply to it." And I just grabbed the opportunity and ran with it.
What was that experience like going to Purchase College and being a collegiate lacrosse player?
It was definitely interesting. So Purchase is very much an art school. About 10, 12 years ago when I joined, athletics was not as visible as it is now. We're about 10% of the student body now, but it was really cool because you're part of a club, a very niche club, and it was awesome, being with a tight-knit group of people and which was the Purchase College Athletics and, being able to rep that.
How was that experience like getting to put on that uniform and representing them?
Uh, I think there's always something thrilling about putting on a uniform. It gets you excited and, it's kind of like a hidden superpower. You put that on and then you have that anticipation built up, until you step on the field and the whistle blows and you start playing.
What were some of your biggest accomplishments as a player?
So we started the lacrosse program here at Purchase in 2013. Our first year we were 0 and 11, and then 2014 we got a new coach. We went 5 for 5, and then 2015 was my senior year, and we were 11 and 4 and 4 and 3 in the Skyline Conference. And then we made it to the Skyline Conference championship semifinals that year. So it was a huge leap in 3 years in building that program.
As a player, what was that experience like being a part of an inaugural program?
Um, So it was a great experience, so it's as a brand new program, you're really deciding and dictating the culture of the team and building it and developing it and so it's just again it's you're making your lifelong friends, you're building that relationship with the coach and determining how you want your program to go.
What was that transition like going from being a player to going into coaching?
It was a huge transition. So as a player, you're focused on your team and what you're putting out on the field, and really just focusing on how am I going to perform this season? What do I need to do to get myself ready to do the best that I can this season? As a coach, it's yes, you're thinking about the current season, but you're also looking 2 to 3 years ahead, constantly recruiting and all that other stuff. So shifting your brain from going like, hey, what am I doing today to like, hey, I need to think about like whom I'm bringing in 2 years. So that was the biggest jump for me.
What was that feeling like when you got the call to become the next head coach?
Oh, I was ecstatic. I was like, oh, this is great. I was like, I'm returning home. I get to be, with some of the colleagues that I had made friends with over the years. I was just excited to, get back to my second home and be back on campus.
After returning back home to your alma mater, what was that feeling like stepping onto that field now as a head coach?
It's you feel powerful. So it's, as a player, there's a certain, excitement that you get, but as a head coach, you're like, no, this is my home turf. Like I got to protect it. I got to take care of it. I got to build my program and, and represent yourself well. So
How was that feeling like putting on your first coaching polo versus your last college uniform?
So hanging up your college uniform for the last time, it's a little bit heartbreaking, so there 10 years ago there wasn't really professional lacrosse. Once you graduate, you're done, especially at the D3 level. There's a few club teams you can join, but that's pretty much it. So, being able to like put on a coaching uniform, it bridges that loss and that you get when you graduate.
For you, what was that feeling like stepping onto that field for the first time as a head coach?
So for the first time, it was really nerve-wracking. So our first scrimmage was in a complete snowstorm. And then our first official game was at Nichols College, and our bus broke down on the way. So I feel like every bad thing that could happen had happened that day. But like it was super exciting. My team went out and did what I wanted them to do. You're always worried you're gonna make the wrong call. Like as a coach, you care so much, want everything to go perfectly, but it never does. But anyway, it's great to see the work you put in and the girls respond to you, and so it's fun.
For you as a head coach, what was that first win like, getting that win for your alma mater?
It's what's the word? It's fulfilling. So it's as a coach, you can't go on the field and, perform with the team. So it's really fulfilling to see your team put the things into actions and do what you say, and then for them to have the proof and build the confidence that, especially as a new coach, they need to build trust with you. It's like, does she know what she's talking about? Does she know what she's doing? And then when you get that win, it solidifies that, and it's just so great that they're like, hey, we can do this. We can win. We can get those goals in.
What has that been like coming back to your alma mater now as a head coach after having years out of the program?
So it's been interesting. So one of the things that I have to remind myself is that, their purchase experience is not my purchase experience. So I had a really great time when I was here. There are still a lot of things that are the same, but this group of college students that are here now, they're having a completely different experience. So, it's I have to just, remind myself, hey, I need to talk to them and say, hey, what are you experiencing, versus just expecting them to have the same experience as myself.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you started to build for the Purchase Women's Lacrosse program?
Yeah, so it's definitely a work in progress. Coming out of the COVID season, so the women's lacrosse programs is a bit in a rough patch, but we're building. The biggest thing that I'm working on is just getting a team where lacrosse is a second priority. We're a D3 program, they're student athletes. The student part always comes first for us. That's the most important. But then the next step is like finding the players and the athletes, who lacrosse is their second love. They want to be there all the time. We have a ton of dual sport athletes. I would love to get some just lacrosse players themselves and have them there and be at every practice so we can continue working and build.
What has that been like building upon the culture that you as a player had versus you now as a coach?
So it's a lot of the same, but at the same time, it's very different. So the culture of the program is building the numbers and getting the wins in. That's kind of always the trajectory of the program. But then it's at the same time, I have a different group of girls who have a different priority than when I was a student. So it's meeting them where they're at and what their priorities are, and it's constantly just working with them and being like, how do I make your experience great, so that what lines up with what I'm trying to do.
Now, as a head coach, what has that been like building upon the traditions that have been throughout the years with Purchase?
Yeah, so one of the biggest traditions, because we were a new program in 2013, so we started an alumni game, I think about 4 or 5 years after I graduated, because we finally had enough alumni that we could host an alumni game. So, continuing that one and, having the graduating players come back every year and meet the new team, and kind of showing the current team being like, hey, like, these are some of the best players that have been through this program. It's like, they're now old at all of like 30, 31 years old, so it's like having them come back and and being like, you put in the work, you can do great things, you can have a great experience.
For you as an alma mater, what has that been like getting to see your fellow alma maters get to play in that alumni game with you?
Oh, it's so much fun. We love it. We always joke, we're gonna come in and we're gonna school the new kids and show them how it's done and how we used to do things. But it's always great. It's we all love the sport. We love the opportunity to pick up our sticks again and and just kind of hang out and reconnect over lacrosse, which is how we became friends in the first place.
What does a typical game day look like for you versus for your athletes?
So for me, it's, doing a final review of film, doing my final lineups, making sure the players that I'm expecting to be there are going to be there. No new injuries, anything like that. Checking in with my assistant coach and making sure, we're all on the same page. We know what we're going in for, what to expect for the team we're playing against. For my athletes, they usually go into the training room, they blast music, they kind of get themselves pumped up, taped up, ready to go. And then we have our little locker room talk. Um, we go over game plan. We always share a quote. So we find some inspirational quote to share to kind of get the girls hyped up and then also just locked in and ready to go.
What is that like getting to build the coaching staff and the players around you?
It's fun. I really enjoy it. So I am a new head coach. This is my first head coach position. So I'm over the past 2 years I've been developing what kind of coach I want to be, what kind of coaching style I want to present, and I on an open book with my team. It's I talk to them too and being like, hey, if there's something we're doing and you don't understand why we're doing it or you don't like how we're doing it, like let's have a conversation about it. Let's figure it out and let's make it work for both of us.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
So we compete against Farmingdale State College, Manhattanville University, which is actually our neighbors right down the road, College at Old Westbury, so the Mount St. Mary College up in Newburgh. So they're fun. Great coaches all around that I get to work with. We just did our first Skyline Coaches ID Day for lacrosse. So, we're trying to build more recognition for the Skyline as a whole. And, it was really nice, like working with these coaches for the first time and then wanting to work together, to say, hey, the more recognition we get for the Skyline Conference, the bigger all of our programs become. So that was really fun.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like Cedar Crest comes to home?
So it's pretty fun. So our men's and women's soccer teams and our men's lacrosse teams are the most supportive, of our lacrosse program. So they usually come out and they cheer for us, and it's really fun. And lacrosse is a pretty physical sport, even for the women's when it's less contact than men, but so it's fun hearing their reactions and them calling out, and it's always it's a good time.
What is that atmosphere like away going to teams and playing teams like Farmingdale?
Is can be intimidating for the players. So, as a player, I don't think I ever felt that intimidation, but for some of these girls, so Farmingdale is the best team in our conference currently. So, it's like going to their home turf, you always have like, oh, we're up against the conference champions, things like that. So it's always, it's my job to kind of break that intimidation and be like, hey, look, we're here. We know how we're going to show up. Like, we never know how this team's going to show up. We may perform better than you think, so it's just go out, have a good time, and and play lacrosse that we are supposed to play.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes? And as a head coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes?
Yeah, absolutely. So for the recruitment process is slightly twofold or two different ways that it can go. So either the student athlete will reach out to me or I'll reach out to them. And then normally it's an initial phone call, or sometimes I'll go to a tournament and I'll watch them play and then give them a phone call afterwards. And then after that, it's really as they come to campus, we do a tour. Hopefully, I get to sit down with them and their parents and, have them meet one of the current members of the team. And, we kind of move from there. My biggest thing is just looking at them and being like, what do you want your college experience to be? Lacrosse is obviously my biggest and most important thing that I want them here for, but this is their college experience. They really only get one first shot at this. So, I want them choosing the right school for them so that they stay, they have a great 4 years, and then can go on and have a great life.
What is that like on the official visit, seeing them fall in love with the campus and the lacrosse facility like you?
It's kind of fun. So I had one recently. So she's from Florida. So and she's looking to get into our theater program here. And it's just after her, being able to come and and meet some of the professors and some of the other people in their program, and and just like me asking her questions about it. Her face just lights up, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, this is great! This is what I've been looking for. I want this." It's like I can do theater and I can do lacrosse, and like you as a coach, you understand the balance between the two. So it was just it's really fun watching them, kind of bloom and show up, because a lot of times, the parents are doing all the talking, but when they you see it's the right fit, like you can see it all over their face. It's great.
As a head coach and alma mater coach, what is that like seeing those freshmen put on that purchase college jersey for the first time?
Oh, I love it. It's so cool. It's again, like I equated it to like a superpower. You see, these first years put on that uniform, and it's like all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, I'm something. I'm part of something. I found my place on campus." It's awesome.
What is that like getting to see them achieve those first big milestones in their career as freshmen?
It's really the best thing. It's as a coach, it's like, see, I told you you could do it. Like, so it's just constantly encouraging them and pushing them and being like, look, you did it once. Maybe the first time it didn't work out perfectly, but you see where the opportunity is, and like have them like slowly build that confidence, and then punch it and make it. It's just it's really cool.
For those seniors, what is that like seeing them put on that purchase jersey for the last time?
Oh, it's heartbreaking. So, because you build a relationship, even the ones that I only coach for one season, it's you see how much they put into the program and how much they love the program. They're there through the wins and the losses and the ups and downs, blood and tears, so it's really, and besides our alumni game, this may be the last time they're putting on a uniform. Some of the athletes, they get career-ending injuries too, unfortunately. So it's anytime is, for some of them, could be the last time, but that last senior game, it's touching, and we really want to honor and respect all the work that they put into the program.
As a coach, what is it like seeing them going on and playing professional lacrosse or even getting into college coaching like you have?
Yeah, so I've had uh two, actually it's three now, players that I've played with. So this is a few years ago now, but they've went on and they've coached as well. So either at the club level or high school level. So, it's really awesome, to see them continue on. And for some of them, they had picked up the sport for the first time in college. So, to see them going on and coaching, and it's being like, this is a really great sport. Like it's great to, stick with it. And the professional level is, just starting for, lacrosse. So I'm looking forward to, athletes more on the D3 level continuing on and, having more opportunities.
What would you tell your younger self now, looking back on your career as a head coach at your alma mater?
Uh, have more confidence in myself going in day one. It's just it's okay to, not know everything. It's this is the game changes every single month, every single year. So, you're just gonna have to keep teaching yourself and, talking to the refs and things like that and learning and developing, and the players you get in every year are gonna be slightly different. So, just have confidence, work with them, and and just be patient.
What are some of the things that you learn now as a head coach that you didn't know before getting started?
I'd say the biggest thing is the recruiting process. So coming in as a head coach, so you expect it to be like, oh, I just need to be talking to junior seniors, mo focusing on the seniors, making sure they get here, get all their stuff done. But recruiting has really changed, since I was a student, obviously. So it's I have to start looking further out, so it's like I would love to just be focusing on 25s and starting to talk to 26s, but like really it's like I need to start looking at 27s and 28s now, to be filling up my roster. So that's kind of like the biggest thing is just, the recruiting is way more than you kind of expect it to be.
What have been some of your favorite memories and moments so far as a head coach at your alma
Uh, I would say most memorable is definitely the first game, is getting that first game in. The other thing too, I love when the students come back. It's when you have that first practice, first fall ball practice and then the first spring practice and being like, hey, this is our team. Like, let's get it. Let's get pumped and get ready to go.
What are some of your future plans for the Purchase lacrosse program moving forward?
Future plans is definitely building the numbers. So I've been sitting at around 15 players. I would love to get up to, 22 to 25 to have a good solid roster. So, it's definitely it's getting our name out there. A lot of people don't know that Purchase College has lacrosse. So that's my biggest plan and my biggest hurdle right now is just getting the name of the program out there.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college lacrosse?
Work hard. And it's really the biggest advice I can give. If you want time on the field, you're going to have to put in the work for it. It doesn't matter what program you're stepping into. It's the coaches see what you're doing and they see the work that you put in. So there may be a game where, it's a blowout game and there's no point in having the starters in. So the coach is going to look at you first if you're the one putting in the extra time and putting in the extra work.
What advice would you give those college juniors transitioning into being seniors and leading the program?
It's really is remember that the sophomores and the first years are looking at you. So they look at you for guidance and leadership, even if you don't think you're leadership material, they see what you're doing, they want to copy what you're doing. And then also like, as a student, just remember this is your last year. So, enjoy yourself and, make the most of it and prepare for the future.
What advice would you give those seniors that have aspirations of playing professional lacrosse or even getting into college coaching?
Is go for it. It's, never turn down an opportunity. Nothing's too big, nothing's too small. You never know what doors will open, if you say yes to something. So really it's don't ever turn anything down. If it's not the right fit, it's not the right fit. But, if you say no to an opportunity that, maybe doesn't line up exactly with what you want, you never know what doors you're closing.
What advice would you give those coaches looking to coach at their alma mater like you
Um, I would say go for it 100%, but just remember that, it's not going to be the same as when you were a student there. I think coaches who are coaching at their alma mater, they kind of have a certain expectation that it's like, I know this place, I know what I'm doing. I don't need to work as hard, whatever, building the relationships that maybe a new coach would have to coming in. But I don't agree with that whatsoever. I'd say because you're a graduate of that program, you need to work extra hard and, maintain the image you want for yourself and having a good relationship with everyone in your department and with the student athletes and yeah.
What advice would you give those head coaches looking to build their own program and build their own legacy?
Be patient. I'd also say the advice that I've been given over and over again is stick with the program, and stick with coaching. So it takes time to build the program and to bring in the players that you want to bring in and coach. So it's like if you give up after a year or two, you wouldn't be able to prove to yourself that, hey, I can actually do this. So just stick with it. You got to meet your team where they're at. Maybe they're not where you want them to be, but meet them where they're at, push them as much as you can, and then, you keep working on that recruiting, and then you'll bring in the team that you want.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the Purchased Women's Lacrosse Program?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram, mostly is the best place to follow us. It's Purchase W Lax is our Instagram handle. They can DM me on there or one of my players, she runs Instagram with me as well to make sure it's being monitored and I don't forget about it. But they're always welcome. My number is up there on the website as well, the Purchase College Athletics page. So, they can always reach out to me, email, or call me anytime.
Thank you again, Coach Jasmine Sitt, for your interview and best luck in your future as the head women's lacrosse coach at Purchase College.
Thanks so much, Brandon.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Jasmine Sitt, for your interview and best luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.